Hey everyone, it's Alexius here from EXILE Accelerator. In this video, I'm going to give you my 5 secrets to building a career in the film industry. Now, before I get started, I do want to let you know that spots are available for our Producing Accelerator program that helps filmmakers like you consistently develop, finance, produce, and distribute their films so that they can build a long-term, sustainable career in the film industry. So if that's something that you're interested in, stick around until the end of this video, and I'm going to give you some more information about how that works. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a video. Okay, so my first secret is to understand that you're running a marathon, not a sprint. So this is a really important point for you to understand, particularly if you're just starting out in your filmmaking career. And it is that filmmaking isn't a young person's game. Filmmaking is something that takes years to build up a career in. And the reason for that is that it does take a long time to actually make a film. So for you to develop, finance, produce, and distribute a film, you can do that really fast in 12 months. I mean, that's the fastest that I've done it. But usually people are doing it in 1 to 2 years. And so for you to build up enough of a body of work to become established as a filmmaker, and then to really excel as a filmmaker, you're gonna need to spend, a long amount of time. It could be 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years until you get to the point that you're hoping to get to as a filmmaker. And so understanding this really early on is important for you because it'll help you make sure that you don't burn out too quickly. So by understanding that it is a long game, you can start to plan accordingly, and you can make sure that you don't get stressed out if things aren't happening maybe as quickly as you would have hoped. So one way that I really like to do this myself is to actually jump onto the IMDb profiles of other filmmakers, or in my case, particularly film producers, and to just look at their career, right? Look at their filmography and see how long it took them to build their career. Starting from the very short film that they made all the way until that film that was, their masterpiece or something that is really highly regarded by the market or by critics. And so it's a really good way to just put your career into perspective and to realize that, you're probably just getting started and you've got many years ahead of you. And what's important, or what's most important, is to be in the game, to be making films. Whether it's short films or feature films, you're not going to get every single one of those right. But if you're constantly making films and you're putting content out there, then you're going to build that career. And really one of the easiest ways to win in this game is just to stay in the game, because so many people drop out. Because it is a marathon, because it is so hard to do and so hard to really become established in the game, then what happens is most people do end up just dropping off. So the longer that you can stay in the game, the longer that you can, have that long-term vision, preserve your energy, and make sure that you're able to keep making films consistently, the better chance you're going to have at building a career. And there's a great Zen Buddhist quote that is chop wood, carry water. And it basically, the meaning of that is that, even when you're trying to attain enlightenment, or in this case, if you're trying to attain a goal, if you're trying to become established in the film industry, then to do that, you need to chop wood and carry water. And even when you become enlightened, nothing changes. You still need to do that same thing, chop wood and carry water. And it's the same with filmmaking. The more that you can just get up every single day and be consistent in your actions and take that time to work towards what it is you want to work to, that goal as a filmmaker, then the better chance you're going to have at doing that, compared with someone that just tries to throw fuel on the fire and make it happen really quickly, but then burns out really quickly. So that's my first secret to building a career in the film industry. My second secret is that filmmaking always needs to be top of mind. So every spare moment that you have, you should be thinking about the film that you're making or your filmmaking career. So whether you're at work, whether you're commuting to and from work, whether you've just woken up in the morning, whether you've just got home from work and you're relaxing, it's just before bed, you're just waking up, every spare moment that you have needs to be focused on your film. Because the only way to succeed in something that is extremely difficult, right? Filmmaking is difficult, the film industry is difficult to excel in. And so the only way to do that is to stay extremely focused on your goal. And the best way to do that is to block out any other thoughts and really just focus on that every spare moment that you have. And so even if you're working a job, then every spare moment that you have at your job, you should be thinking about your film or working on your film, which would be even better. Now, I remember when I was working at a law firm, every spare moment I had, I'd be thinking about or talking about the film that I was making, the feature film that I was making at that time. And so this is something that's extremely important to do on a daily basis. And really what you want to be doing is visualizing the film that you're making, or, problem solving. Maybe you're developing a screenplay at the time, or you're trying to raise finance. You should be using that spare time in between tasks to really just start honing in on the things that are important that relate to your project at that time. One thing that I do want to say with this is that, it's okay to spend time generating income. Right, so it's okay to do that, and it's okay to dedicate time and energy and focus on doing those things, because you need to be generating income to survive. But even when you're generating income, making your film needs to be the number one priority, and it needs to be front of mind at all times. And that is really one of the most important lessons that I can impart to you as a filmmaker, regardless of the stage of your career. Because you might have made some feature films and maybe they didn't go as well as you would have hoped. And now maybe you've become a bit disillusioned by the game, by the film industry. And so your thoughts aren't directed towards filmmaking or directed towards your filmmaking career. And what can happen is, if you're not focused on your film or your filmmaking career, days, weeks, months, and even years can just drift by without you making any progress towards that goal. And so this is something that's extremely important for you. And it's a lesson that I kind of learned this year with everything going on, with COVID, with building this accelerator program, which is hugely important for my business, but it's not making films, it's not producing films. And so even just a couple of weeks ago, I had to snap back into it and remember that the number one priority, the number one goal is always to be making films. And the best way to be working towards that goal is to be constantly thinking about it, constantly putting energy, time, and focus into that goal. And so that is my second secret to building a career in the film industry. My third secret is one that I speak about quite a bit, or you might have heard me speak about it before, and it's to always prioritize time over money. So when I speak to filmmakers that are having issues with being able to spend time on their projects, which is arguably, next to finance, is the biggest problem that I see with filmmakers. It's not having the time and not having the money. And so when it comes to the time side of that, what has usually happened is that people have taken on a job, whether it's a 9 to 5, or they've taken on commercial work, and they've prioritized money over time. And what that's meant is that they're not left with enough time to be able to spend on their film. And this creates a real issue, because if you don't have the time to start taking action on the project, then even what I just spoke about, which is thinking about your project all the time, thinking isn't going to make your film materialize. It's going to help you take action, but you're ultimately going to need to take that action. So if you don't have the time to do that, that's a major problem for you. So what you always need to do is prioritize time over money. And really one of the best ways to do this is to find a job or find a way to generate income that is going to give you the most time to be able to spend on your project. So, a job or a revenue stream that just covers your bills and gives you the basics, but gives you lots of time to be able to work on your film, should be prioritized over a job or a revenue stream that can make you a ton of money but leave you with no time. Because even those people that think that they're going to make money for a short period of time and then they're going to then switch back to making a film, that's honestly something that I rarely see happen, because once you get sucked into that, you're kind of stuck in that and you start building skills in that area as opposed to the skills required to have as a filmmaker. And so again, it's very easy for weeks, months, years to pass by while you're spending it developing these other skills and you've spent no time on moving your film career forward. That what happens is, again, you've just stagnated, you've hit a wall, and even if you want to jump into the filmmaking game at that point, because you've made lots of money, you haven't developed the skills. You're kind of still at stage one. So the better way to do it, in my view, is to find that job, that income that can really just cover the basic needs for you and give you the time that you need in order to spend on your films. Because like I said at the start of the video, to build a filmmaking career, it's going to take you years. And so the sooner that you can be making films consistently, the sooner that you're going to be able to build that long-term sustainable career in the film industry. Okay, just a quick time out here. So if you have any comments about this video, leave them in the comments section below. If you have any secrets that maybe I don't know about how to build a career in the film industry, drop them in the comments below and let's have a little conversation about what it's like to build a career in the film industry. My fourth secret is that you have to be bold, take risks, and put everything on the line. Now, like I said earlier in this video, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So you don't have to be doing that every day of the week, but you have to be prepared for those opportunities to arise. And when those opportunities do arise, you have to take bold action, because no one did anything great or achieved anything great by sitting on the sidelines. So you really want to spend the time in between these big decisions, this big action, developing your skills, honing your craft, raising finance for projects. But then when the time comes to take action, you're prepared. You've spent the time getting ready for that opportunity and you can dive headfirst into it. And really, this has been the keys to me being able to consistently make films. It's just that I've been prepared to take risks at times when other people perhaps haven't been. And I remember on my first film, I was the sole producer on the project and I was looking to bring in another producer probably a month or two out from production. And when I took the project to them, they thought that I was absolutely crazy. They thought that I had bitten off more than I could chew and that if the film did go into production, it would be an absolute mess and they didn't want anything to do with it. And of course, I pushed forward with that decision. I took that action to make that film, and sure, it wasn't an easy film to make, but at the same time, it wasn't that difficult. We were able to get it done, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And the end result was that I'd made my first film, my feature film, when I was 25, working full-time as a lawyer. I made that film during my vacation, during my 2-week holiday. And if I wasn't prepared to take that risk at that time, then I don't know how long would have gone by, before I'd had another opportunity to make a feature film, because those opportunities don't come by that often. And it was the same for my second film. As soon as I met Jason, the director of that film, it became clear to me that I wanted to work with him. And so I just jumped straight into that head first. And both of us really tackled that film with as much energy that we could, really. And that was the secret to us being able to get that film into production and then get the film to Venice in such a short period of time. And even on the distribution side, you know, I went to Cannes in 2015 as a film producer. I was just thinking about distributing films in Australia, and an opportunity arose to acquire a film. It was Gaspar Noé's film Love, and I kind of came up with this crazy idea that the film would be extremely provocative and controversial based on what I'd seen just from their the teasers that they were releasing and the posters. And I thought that it would be a great opportunity to kind of like kickstart the distribution side of my business. And by having that idea and by kind of taking that risk, we were able to acquire that film, and it did kick off my distribution arm of the business, and that then led to me developing skills as a distributor, understanding that side of the business, and being able to build that distribution arm, which feeds into what I do as a producer. But if I wasn't prepared to take that risk at the start, if I wasn't prepared to take bold action, I mean, for a producer to rock up to a festival and end up acquiring one of the most controversial films is something that is extremely risky and does take bold action. But by doing that, I was really able to cement my, my desire to be a distributor. And that decision is something that's still paying dividends today, because when people see that I've worked on films like that, they immediately respect, the level of taste or the level of even just commitment that you have to the film industry. So taking risks, being bold, and jumping on opportunities when you see them is something that you absolutely have to do if you want to build a career in this industry. And my fifth and final secret to building a long-term career in the film industry is that you have to be having fun. So this job, this industry, this career is something that can be extremely rewarding. But at the same time, it can be extremely stressful. It can be extremely difficult. It can be extremely challenging. It's filled with uncertainty. I've spoken about this in some of my other videos, some of the reasons why I hate being an independent filmmaker. And so if you're not having fun along the way, if you're not getting your kicks out of being on set or out of developing an idea, out of breathing life into something, then you're not going to be able to stay in it long term. And that is really one of the most important keys to building a career in the film industry. You have to be having fun. One of the best ways to do this is to find people that you like working with. Find people that, when you're on the phone to them talking about a project or an idea, it's not all business. You can laugh, you can enjoy the process, you can celebrate the wins, you can dust off the losses, and you can always find, the positive or the light in any situation. Because if you're able to do those things, and if you're able to do that even more importantly with a team, then you're going to enjoy the process. You're going to have fun, and you're going to be driven to want to experience that feeling and to have that experience, like the experience of being on set, again. And if you want to do that, if you want to experience that again, then you need to be making films. You need to be spending that time in between, developing, financing, getting the project ready to go into production. So it's really just a long way of saying, you have to enjoy the process. You have to have fun while you're doing it. At the end of the day, what we're doing is telling stories and, playing make-believe. I mean, we're hopefully, when you're building a career, getting paid to do these things as well. And so if you're not having fun doing it, then you really shouldn't be in the industry. You shouldn't be in the game, because it's something that should be fun. It shouldn't be overly stressful. Obviously the business side can be a bit stressful at times, but the entire process, the entire career that you have in the film industry should be something that's fun and that you want to tackle every single day. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you liked the video, you know the drill. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop some comments in the comments section below. I'd love to hear about what are the secrets you have to building a career in the film industry. I also want to circle back to the Producing Accelerator program, which I spoke about earlier in this video. So the program is something that I set up, and what it is it's a program that takes filmmakers through the system that I've developed and that I use to finance my films. And it's something that I'm now teaching other filmmakers to use in order to allow them to be able to finance, produce, distribute their films on a consistent basis so that they can build a career in the film industry. So if that's something that you're interested in, check out the links in the description where you'll be able to check out a video that takes you through our producing system, and you'll then be able to book a call with either me or a member of my team, and we'll be discussing your project with you. We'll be working out where you're at with your project, where you need to get to, and if the Producing Accelerator program is the right fit for you. And as always, check out these videos next on how to up your filmmaking game.